From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. And it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles. And we have ourselves another great day. What's going on with you, Mr. Rise Above Anything, Mr. Kareem? How you doing, brother? How's everything going with your nephew? All right, so pretty much let's go ahead and jump into it. We have ourselves a good show going for you guys today. Hopefully it's a good show for you guys today. But you know, I'm gonna do what I can. I'm gonna do what I can. So, that's what we got. So pretty much where we at. Let's go ahead and jump into 30 teams in 30 days. I did skip out on 30 teams in 30 days. You know that we are reviewing the NL East right now. So we have the Miami Marlins up today. So the Miami Marlins coming to this bad boy from last year, 69 and 93 last season. The Marlins got some things going on, man. They got some things going on. And so pretty much they have potential. This team, I wouldn't say that this team is anything to write home about, but they got some guys here. And you have Jazz Chisholm, a guy that possibly could be an MVP candidate. You might want to go ahead and put a couple little dollars on that. It looks like that he's going to have a pretty thorough season. From what they're saying is he's projected to steal 29 bases. I think Jazz might get a little bit more than that. Jazz Chisholm is probably the fastest guy in the MLB. Then you have Jorge Soler, the veteran, who former Cub, and they got him set up to hit 23 home runs this year as well too. And then that's when the power stops, because they have a guy that they have in the 3-hole, and Luis Herrera, who's has a 301 average, probably the only time I've seen this projected for anybody, but they only have him hitting 6 home runs this year, and he's only going to have so many at-bats. But this looks like a guy that's just going to be getting on base, but why would you have him in the 3rd hole? That's my biggest question, you know what I mean? So it sounds like that they're going to try to put a hitter in the hot spot and then try to drive him home with Garrett Cooper, who is projected to hit 13 home runs. And then you have Avisel Garcia in the outfield, who's projected to hit 16 home runs, and that would be the third best. But your leadoff man, your steals man, is going to be your best home run hitter as well too, and probably your biggest strikeout guy as well too. So there's a lot of things you tell yourself, and you're like, I don't know about this. You got Joe Wendell as well too at shortstop. Joe Wendell was really good in Tampa Bay and very vital to that team getting to that World Series against the Dodgers as well too. So that's somebody who can be an X factor for this team. And then you got Gene Segura. Gene Segura was pretty good as well too. Elsewhere. So he should be a pretty good addition to this team as well. But from what you can see with this team is they're not going to work a lot of walks this year, but they're not going to strike out a lot either. But from what I'm seeing right now, one thing that does work out for the Marlins is hitting for average. And they got 5 guys that they said are set up to pretty much hit pretty well this season as well too. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm not comfortable with your leadoff man being your everyman. But the one thing that sets Miami apart from everybody is this great pitching staff. They still have Sandy Alcantara. They did lose to Cy Young Pablo Lopez, but they got some good assets for him back. Then you have Jesus Luzardo, who was pretty good last season as well too. He looks to improve upon that as well this season, and they have him projected to strike out 157 guys next year. this year. Then you got the veteran, Johnny Cueto, who could be the difference in getting this team over the hump. You know what I mean? Because they don't have many expectations once again this season. But Johnny Cueto is a great veteran, and he's been a part of teams that had some sparks during the season. But I think Johnny Cueto is in place to get assets down the road. Possibly, if he has a pretty good season, they'll probably be getting a call from the Dodgers. So, if the Dodgers need a starting pitcher or something of that nature. But I think if they would have wanted to get Johnny Cueto, they would have went and got Johnny Cueto. Trevor Rogers is a guy that is very intriguing to me. He seemed like a very good pitcher last year. He just didn't get the run support that you need to really be that guy. But I think this year he'll be able to step up, and he's seen as a guy who should be one of their better pitchers this year as well, too. So I do like Trevor Rogers in this rotation as well. And then you have Edward Cabrera. Edward Cabrera is the new kid on the block. I think that he should be fairly decent. He should be workable. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But all in all, what I have for the Marlins for this year is them going under 76.5 games. I'm just not convinced with this Marlins team yet that they're going to be able to do anything this year. But if you have fantasy baseball going, I just named off some pretty good players that will be great for your team. You know what I mean? So Joe Wendell is the guy that I look out for. Joe Wendell has a good season, the Marlins could have a good season. Okay, that's just something that you look at and you say to yourself, if this guy can step it up, be an X factor, then the Marlins can do pretty much whatever they want this year, because they don't have expectations. That's the whole thing. And when you don't have expectations, you're that much more dangerous, in my opinion, as well, too. But it's up to them to step up to the plate in that regard. So it is what it is. That's going to be the Marlins for you, under 76.5. Tomorrow, we're going to go ahead and review the New York Mets tomorrow as well, too. So you guys be ready for that one. And then Friday, I'm going to give you guys a double dose of Philadelphia and Washington as well, since we missed today this week. So, because today was supposed to be the Mets. So pretty much there it is. And we move forward from there. All right, let's get into the first game tonight. Fairleigh Dickson versus Texas Southern. And Texas Southern is coming into this game 14-20, the only team with a losing record right now in the tournament, but that was them a few years back as well, too. They have 2.5. They are a 2.5 point dog. 2.5 point favorite tonight. And Fairleigh Dickinson, they are making their first tournament appearance in I would say about a decade. I remember they had Villanova actually on their heels. They had a halftime lead, and everybody got a little excited and thought Fairleigh Dickinson was going to be the first ever 16 seed to actually win. But that didn't come to fruition that day. They wound up losing the game by double digits still. So pretty much with that, they had a very, 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 very funny time since that point. But they did go ahead and win the Northeast Conference. They won it in a fashion that nobody likes, because they actually lost the tournament championship. But the thing is, though, the tournament one seed and the tournament winner, Merrimack, couldn't advance to the tournament because they're actually banned from the tournament because they're a brand new Division I team. So they have to wait 4 years. It's only their second year in Division I. So Merrimack had to sit it out. We all know Merrimack. We already knew Merrimack was going to be a great team when they came to Division I. They were a dominant Division II team. So it does kind of suck that Fairleigh gets in on a stipulation. So pretty much a lot of people will be rocking with Texas Southern tonight. Let's just keep it real. Texas Southern had themselves a pretty up and down season, because they had it just seemed like the first half of the season they just were terrible. Okay, they lost a lot of games, all right? And then when you got to about January 16th, this team got a lot better. And since that point, they're 7-6. And actually, they're 10-6 since that point, if you add in their tournament as well, too. And then when you look at what they won, come on, they won the SWAC. The SWAC was really a very easy conference to win at the end of the day. Let's keep it real. And Texas Southern has won the conference 3 years in a row. Now, they were 14-20, and they were 7-11 in conference play. But they had it in their mind that they were going to be able to be here because how good was in reality was Grambling. Grambling was 24-9, but Grambling just wasn't up to par. And Alcorn State was pretty good as well too. But the funny thing about it is Texas Southern they came from literally nowhere to win this, but they were always the most dangerous team in the tournament. That's what made it that crazy, is that, you beat Alcorn State to start the tourney off, then you beat Alabama A&M, and then you beat Grambling State. So they beat all the top teams in the conference. So pretty much with that, you have Texas Southern, who's really, playing on a whim right now. And then you got Fairleigh Dickson that got in on a stipulation. But I think Fairleigh Dickson, 19-15, they had a good season this year. They romped through their tournament as well too until they played Merrimack as well on the road. But they have two really good wins against both St. Francis schools, one the New York school and the Pennsylvania school as well. And they finished up the season 3-3. If you look at their last 6, but if you look at their last 5, they lost the last 2 out of 3. They lost the last 3 out of 5, but they won the last 2 out of 3. So all in all, you look at it, they've won 4 out of 6. So Fairleigh knows that there's a lot of hate on them tonight, and I think that people are going to have a sentimental play here, so they're going to like Texas Southern a lot. But I just say don't sleep on FDU. If you're a client with my group, the Primetime Sports Investors, then you know exactly where I'm going to tonight. If you're not, then pretty much we'll just have to wait on the results after the game. But there it is, FDU and TXSO tonight, TSU. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But this should be a fun game tonight. Let's move forward from there. And then we got the 11-on-11 with Nevada and ASU. ASU comes into this one very confident because they're from the power school. They have a team that feels that they should have been in this tournament as well too. So they coming in here 11-11. Nevada kind of snuck in here, but Nevada deserves to be here as well too. Nevada had a great season, and Nevada was a part of a great haul in the Mountain West this year. The Mountain West got 4 teams this year because how bad the Pac-12 was this year. And literally, Pac-12 usually gets in 6. This year, they got in 3 with 1 play-in. So I always say 1 play-in because that means that you technically made the tournament, but you didn't make the tournament at the same time. That's how I feel when they have you as a play-in, because if you don't move forward, then you were really never in the tournament. You know what I mean? You're playing for a chance to play in the actual big dance, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's a wild card situation. So you have Nevada, a team that actually lost their last 4 out of 6 here, and they had a really bad loss to San Jose State. But all in all, they got a lot of good wins this season as well, and it was able to get them where they're at today. So pretty much, winning over Grand Canyon, a tournament team. They also had a good win over Sam Houston State as well, too, who missed the tournament this year, but they're a high seed in the NIT. Also got a really, really good win against Norfolk State, who was a very good team. Also got here simply because they beat Boise State. Also had a good win over San Diego State, and also had a really good win over Utah State as well, too. All 3 of those teams made the tournament, so they were able to do exactly what they had to do to get in this tourney. But I still think that if they would have got left out, nobody would have been mad about it. Think about that part, because I truly, truly feel that Nevada kind of just got in because the way how bad the Pac-12 was this year. So they pretty much let them in here because they know that the Mountain West is respectable, and the Mountain West always does find a way to be in the mix. You know what I mean? So you look at it and you say to yourself that this could be a tough task because it's Arizona State, but Arizona State has not been impressive to me all season. Arizona State at one point had lost 4 games in a row, and then came back around and they lost their last 2 games of the season as well, too, in California. But they had a great win over Arizona, which I think propelled them into this situation that they're in. And we have to keep it real. They did beat 2 ranked teams this year as well, beating Arizona at number 7, and then beating Michigan when they were number 20. They also were able to get a really, really good win over Creighton, beating them by 2. Creighton's another tournament team as well. So, that's a fact, something that you can factor in. But I still think that Arizona State kind of was a team that they let in because they didn't want to embarrass the Pac-12 this year. The Pac-12 really only deserved 3 teams. That was Arizona, UCLA, and USC. But Arizona State won enough games to get into the tournament, and then they beat the right type of teams to get into this tournament. VCU, another tournament team who would have been a possible bubble team if they would have lost their tournament. Now, Michigan, they didn't make the tournament, but Michigan, they tried their hardest to get Michigan in there. Creighton made the tournament, but that's because they had to snap back. And I think at that point in time, Arizona State caught them when they were kind of slipping. So if they were to play again, they would smoke Arizona State. I'll be honest with you. And then, when you look at this, losing the 4 in a row, you thought this would possibly take them out of the mix because let's keep it real. Since they lost that 4 in a row, they are 5-4. But, at the end of the day, that means that they're only 5-9 in their last. They were 5-9 to close out the season. Then they got 2 more wins, so they're 7-10 all in all in their last 17. So pretty much, Arizona State is on life support to me tonight, and I think that when you look at this one, Nevada has to really get your attention here because Nevada being a plus 2.5 is almost stealing, in my opinion. I think that this needs to be a pick 'em because you can go either side here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I do like Nevada coming in, even though Nevada does have a little bit of a losing streak coming in here. They did lose 3 in a row. They lost by 9 to Wyoming, a team that didn't even win 7 games this year. UNLV, a team that missed the postseason once again. And then you got San Jose State, a team that never had any hopes of getting to the postseason unless they won their tourney, and that's exactly what they didn't do. So it is what it is at the end of the day, and that's going to be our game for tonight when it comes down to these early playing games. So let's go ahead and jump into the East region preview. And the East region, actually, that's the West. Let's go ahead and get to the East. And we all know that everybody has their gripe with Purdue. Purdue being the number 1 team is kind of a stretch. Let's keep it real. It's kind of not the number 1 team, but being the number 1 seed is kind of a stretch. But we'll go ahead and we'll accept it because Purdue did earn the right to be there. But I would say this, that Purdue is probably the one seed that everybody circled to not even be a part of the Sweet 16. So they have a tough ride in front of them. Purdue is a good team. I'm not saying Purdue's not a good team. Purdue won great games at the beginning of the season. They got a great win over Duke. They played in the field. They played in the field. Okay. They played in the Phil Knight Invitational or Legacies, all that big weekend that featured like 4 top 10 teams. So they were a part of a great situation in that. But all in all, though, they gave them what you would look at and say, man, this might be a cakewalk of a region compared to what you see for Kansas and UCLA in the West. Because you look at this and you say to yourself, Purdue should run the table. It shouldn't be hard to beat Memphis or Florida Atlantic. It shouldn't be hard. And your one obstacle that you do have is Duke or Oral Roberts, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And you have Tennessee and Louisiana. Tennessee and Louisiana presents probably the one matchup where you say you can go either way here. And I think Louisiana has upset on their mind, to be honest with you. And Kentucky absolutely can win this region. Them being plus 850 to win the region is monster value. It should be lower, honestly, because really Kentucky is a 6 seed, but they have the looks of a 3 seed here. Let's keep it real. In any other year, Kentucky if they was much better, they would be literally a 3 seed, and you would probably put Kansas State as a 6 seed. Let's keep it real. All right, because Kansas State had a great season and Kansas State was in the top 10 most of the year. That's why you're going to put them in that spot. But I think, though, at the end of the day, though, what you have here is a Kansas State team that's in a kind of a bad spot for a team that's a 3, because Montana State's really hot coming into this tournament. Okay, they're really, really hot coming into this tournament. So that's where, Kansas State has to be ready. But Kansas State played in the toughest conference in America. So literally when that happens, it doesn't really matter how hot you're coming in here. Once Kansas State gets into the rhythm, they'll probably blow them off the floor. But Montana State does have some people I know personally on the team, and I am rooting for those guys. Darius Brown Jr. Comes to mind. He went to Pasadena High School a few years ago, transferred from Cal State Northridge, went ahead and got himself a conference title. So he's living a dream somewhat, because that's what he went to college for. He thought he was going to do all that at Cal State Northridge, but that didn't happen. So you got Michigan State and USC, and probably the most intriguing matchup in this first day, in the first days for this region. But then you have Marquette, a team that can absolutely steal this thing. Marquette can win this region as well, too, because Marquette's coming in here on fire. But Marquette can also lose to Vermont in this game, because Vermont is a team that's not scared of the moment. Vermont is literally a tenant in the NCAA tournament yearly. So them being a 15 seed, they've won as a 15 seed before. And Marquette, they're a team that was under the radar, and they were picked to finish 9th in the Big East. So their expectations aren't really high for this team. I know what a lot of people are thinking, that Marquette is a first weekend out team. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't get too high on that yet. I think Marquette's going to be a really, really dominant force to deal with in this tournament. Let's keep it real. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward to the West region. But if I'm going to go ahead and give you guys first round predictions right now, Purdue, Memphis, Oral Roberts I got Oral Roberts going all the way to the Elite Eight. Yep, it's crazy right now, but if Oral Roberts is able to beat Duke, I got him pushing it all the way to the Elite Eight. Okay, and I think Oral Roberts winds up getting the upset win over Duke, a young team that's not ready for what's coming with Oral Roberts. They have a 7'5" center on Oral Roberts' side that could wind up being the star of the tournament if everything falls in place for Oral Roberts University. And then Tennessee, Louisiana is a toughie, but I'm going to go ahead and push Tennessee in here, even though I think Louisiana covers in a very, very close game. But I got Oral Roberts and Tennessee meeting up over the weekend, and then I have Kentucky beating Providence, and I have Kansas State actually beating Montana State, but the upset is in play. Don't act like that upset ain't in play with the number 14 Montana State. And then I know that I know I'm probably going to wind up losing this game when I do this, but I'm going to take Michigan State over USC. USC to me just hasn't done much, but USC is sneaky. And they haven't been, and since you haven't talked about them enough, then this is when they strike. You know what I mean? And Boogie Ellis is a hell of a point guard, and if he can get cooking, Michigan State's in trouble. So I think that Michigan State, if they wind up winning, that it will be absolutely tremendous. And I think that you favor them a little bit more in this spot to win this game because you got Tom Izzo. It's that simple. And then you have Marquette, Vermont. I feel like Marquette does advance, but they'll have to play a really close game here. And I think when we get down to the Sweet 16, as I said before, I got this feeling that Purdue goes home this weekend. So if they wind up playing Memphis, if they play Florida Atlantic, they're going to stick around. But if they play Memphis, they probably are going to be going home. So let's say this. We got a Memphis Oral Roberts Sweet 16, and then we'll have Kentucky, and I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say this. We'll have Kentucky and Marquette. I think that Marquette is still going to be just moving because Shaka Smart's been to 2 Final Fours, and he did this with VCU. So remember who he went to the Final Four with, and just remember what type of coach he is. And so pretty much, yeah, I can go ahead, and I think we'll have a Marquette. We'll have a Marquette, Kentucky, matchup in the Sweet 16, and we'll have a big upset at the top of the bracket with Oral Roberts and Memphis playing in the Sweet 16 as well too. All right, and this is a bracket that I do have. I have Marquette and Kentucky coming out of this bracket, so I got some different little flips and stuff going on with this one as well too. So there it is. There it is. Let's go ahead and move forward to our next region, and that's going to be the West region. And in the West region, we have ourselves a very, very, very complex situation in the West. We truly do. I'm telling you, we got a real complex situation here with this regional. Now, UCLA gets things started in Sacramento. You got TCU, Gonzaga. They're going to be in Denver, and TCU's waiting on the winner of the Arizona State-Nevada game as well. And as I already said, I think that the winner of this game, it doesn't matter. You're just getting yourself prepared for TCU putting you out of the tournament, because TCU is a very, very strong six. Let's keep it real. They beat every single team in the Big 12 this year, and some of them they beat the brakes off of, like Kansas, who they beat by 23 at Lawrence. So, they got some real street cred up in here, TCU, and they match them up in this, and they put them in the same bracket as Kansas. So Kansas understands that they did no favors for the returning national champion. Now, Kansas going against Howard. Howard hasn't been in this tournament in 32 years. I think that the 21.5 point spread is going to be a great cover for you if you do take it. And Kansas should roll in this game, but I think Howard does cover because off the emotion of finally being back in a tournament after 31 years. You don't know when you're going to be there again, so you're going to try to show up for this one. Then you have Arkansas, Illinois. Arkansas could go ahead and get everything back in blood after, starting the season off as the number 8 team in the nation and literally kind of falling apart after Maui. But they were able to keep things together to get themselves in this tournament as well, too. And I know nobody ever questioned Arkansas getting in this tournament because they have the wins to back them up. We all know that. Arkansas definitely has the wins to back them up big time. So Illinois is a team that barely made it in, and I know that that's going to probably be some motivation for them, but I think Arkansas takes care of their business in Des Moines, even though Illinois will have the crowd there. Let's keep it real. Kansas and Illinois are going to bring a big group of fans to Des Moines. Then we have Albany. This is more catered to the UConn Iona fans and also to VCU. So St. Mary's is kind of out of its element. They kind of doing a 5th seed dirty. If you look at it, you would really say to yourself, well, St. Mary's should have been in a different bracket and playing in the Sacramento portion of that bracket. But St. Mary's has to understand that they let them in this tournament as a at-large, and they left out teams that were better resume-wise than St. Mary's, but St. Mary's got enough street cred to be here, so that's why they're here. So playing against VCU, that's probably the toughest 5-12 that you'll see, but every 5-12, as I told you guys before, is tough. Every single one of them. Charleston and San Diego State, tough. When you get down to Drake and Miami, tough. And when you get down to the Oral Roberts and Duke, tough. So it doesn't get any easier here. This is the toughest tournament I've ever seen in the NCAA in all the 30 some odd years I've been looking at brackets. Like, this is really difficult. Like, it doesn't really matter about wins and losses here. These are just very good teams and very, very strong matchups. UConn and Iona, this should be a war. You got Hurley going at Pitino. Everybody's ready to put Pitino on a big run. UConn, I think possibly might be a year ahead. We got really excited about UConn when they jumped out 14-0, had beat everybody by double digits. Then they got into the Big East and lost 9 games. So, you get a little hesitant about this team. You don't know well, they lost 8 games. I'm sorry. They lost 8 games in the conference. So they haven't lost to anybody outside of the Big East this year, but that doesn't really matter. But that was something that worked for them very well when they won their last national championship and the national championship back in 2011. So you have TCU. I said they should be able to move on by. Gonzaga shouldn't really have any issues with Grand Canyon, but we do have to remember they are playing against another team that's just another small school, mid-major situation. So they are a live dog, regardless of how anybody feels. And Grand Canyon had a great end to their season as well, but I don't think they're high enough for Gonzaga in this spot. Northwestern, Boise State is the most intriguing matchup out of everybody, and it's probably the biggest 50-50 matchup of this whole tournament as well, too. So we're literally, it's pick a side, and it's really tough to choose a side here, but you're going to go with the team that plays in the stronger conference, and that's going to be Northwestern. But if you really look at it and say, okay, who's the better team? It's possibly Boise State, because Boise State had themselves like a historic season for their university, all in all, because they outright made this tournament. It was no issues with playing anything like that. They made the tournament because they played great basketball this season as well, too. And then UCLA and Asheville. UCLA has to line it up with one of the better 15 seeds here, 27-7 on the season. This will be a good way for UCLA to start the tournament with a very, very tough team in Asheville, and then have to deal with the scrappy bunch on Saturday, either Northwestern or Boise State. So I think UCLA might come out of their bracket the toughest out of everybody, to be honest with you. But I see UCLA, but this is how I see the first weekend going. I see Kansas winning their game, Arkansas winning their game, St. Mary's, VCU is a toughie. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put VCU in this spot. I think VCU winds up getting a big, big win here. And then I got UConn beating Iona in the battle of the Northeast. And then we have TCU and Arizona State. I got TCU advancing. I got Gonzaga beating Grand Canyon. And then I'm going to go ahead and circle Northwestern to move forward in this spot. And then UCLA as well. I got UCLA beating Northwestern because that will be a preview of what's to come in the that's a preview to what's to come in the Big Ten. And then we'll have Gonzaga, TCU. I got TCU getting the upset there, sending Gonzaga home. And then in the UConn VCU game, I got UConn sending VCU home. And then we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and put Kansas in as that winner to go ahead and move forward on their road to trying to get back to being a back-to-back. And that's how I see the Sweet 16 with all four top seeds, except for Gonzaga in the mix. And you could consider TCU a top four somewhat, because when you look at the first six teams, it's very interchangeable. You know what I mean? So, like UCLA could have been a one seed. And you look at Gonzaga and say to yourself, that UConn could have been the third seed. So it just goes on and on when it comes to this group. It's really the bracket of it is the death bracket, as they like to say, as they have in soccer. They have the death pool. This is the death bracket right here. And I'm telling you right now, if you're a doggy dog here, it's going to be really tough for you to really move forward in this tournament. That's why I put TCU in this group, because it looks like this is going to be all power schools playing each other in the Sweet 16. And literally, I like to call those formful, but you will get an upset over the weekend, I'm feeling like, with TCU and Gonzaga. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. I know I went well over as well, too. But, man, we got the NCAA tournament going. You guys got to understand that part. So when I get back, I'm going to break down the Lakers from last night, talk about NBA Wednesday night as well, too. And then we're going to get into Talkin Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right. Yep. All right. So here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into this. And we have ourselves a very, very good look going on right now. The Laker fans are in literally, Laker fans are literally in awe right now of how this team is literally has went ahead and fixed this whole situation with just just making moves. That's it, and that's all. The Lakers just made moves. And pretty much now the Lakers find themselves in position to actually be in the playoffs this year, even though AD will be out tonight because it is a back-to-back. AD does not play back-to-backs because the doctor has made it to where there is going to be no back-to-backs this season for AD because of his foot issue. So AD does want to play tonight. So don't think AD didn't want to play tonight and AD forced their hand and not let him play. This is a decision that's made by the front office and the physician of the team. So he won't be available tonight, but he was available last night and was absolutely incredible. He had 35 points last night, 18 rebounds. He was absolutely a beast on the defensive end as well, too. And he helped the Lakers win this game and win it with fairly easily as well. Malik Beasley hit 7 3-pointers in the first half. That's all he needed. All he needed was 7 3-pointers in the first half. He literally did all of his damage in the first half of the game, but he hit 7 threes in the first half. He hit for 70% last night, and then he also got an and one. So he had 24 points last night, and they were a very critical 24 points as well, too. The Lakers were able to work themselves into such a great rhythm that they were actually up 35 points at the beginning of the second half. So the Lakers literally shut them down. They only gave 24 points in the first quarter. Then they wound up giving up 16 points in the second quarter. Now, it was the tale of two halves because the Lakers did give up 68 in the second half, and then they only wound up scoring so many points as well, too. The Lakers wound up only scoring 48 points. But, it's all good. It's all good. The Lakers took care of their business last night when they were supposed to. They set a record last night, too, in the first half. They hit 15 3-pointers. So that's just incredible how confident this Laker team has become and how fun they are now. It's like they love playing with each other. I always felt like everything was forced with Russell and the rest of the crew. Those guys just were forcing everything. You know what I mean? They were forcing being cool with each other. They were forcing, passes, forcing shots, just forcing everything. And I think that the Laker fans were so disgusted by the non-unity of this team and how much people did not like playing with each other. And LeBron showing his emotions on his sleeve, something that he doesn't usually do. So, this Laker team was confusing. And it's just crazy because this Laker team literally had to go ahead and replace the roster 3 times in the last 18 months. Like, look at the Lakers. Last year, they had a bunch of old guys, and then all those guys were off the team after we got to the trade deadline. And then as we moved forward, Lakers still didn't do anything, so they sat everybody out for the rest of the year. At the beginning of the year, the Lakers had themselves pretty much a skeleton squad. They had Matt Ryan, a guy that was from DoorDash. They had J-Dub, and they had Juan Toscano Anderson from the Warriors, who was a bench warmer there, who gave everybody this idea he was going to be something with the Lakers when he was absolutely a waste of time. Also, you had Westbrook still, who was still frustrated, and the whole season the Lakers were always looking for a trade for him. And then you had Kendrick Nunn, who literally found himself out of the lineup once Schroeder started going off a little bit more, and once Austin Reeves solidified himself in the lineup as well too. They lost Tommy Bryant. Tommy Bryant was one of their better players, but Tommy Bryant did not want to be with the Lakers anymore because he wanted to shine a little bit more. Pat Beverly, a guy who's like the biggest distraction ever, the biggest nuisance of the team, who getting unnecessary technical fouls, he was quickly shipped off to Orlando for Mo Bamba, who's hurt right now, but Mo Bamba should be back in the playoffs. So all the guys that the Lakers picked up were they were all great pickups. Beasley for the threes, Vanderbilt for defense, and then the all-star element with D'Angelo Russell, and then with the potential with Mo Bamba. So, they got a lot of really good assets in that trade. And these were the right players for LeBron and AD. And they're really the right players for AD. And I keep telling you guys, these guys were brought in to help AD. And that's how I still feel, is that they were brought in to help AD, not LeBron. This was not for LeBron. This is for AD. AD is the long-term future for the Lakers. LeBron is the right now for the Lakers. LeBron being hurt right now is the best thing that ever happened to the Lakers because it shows that they truly are a great team without him. And with him, they can be an even greater team. And let me just give you guys some game before I move on to our NBA Wednesday night. And I'm going to have to be real quick with NBA Wednesday night as well, too, because we are running kind of short on time. But peep this. The Lakers have went 32-23 since starting the season 2-10. If the Lakers start the season off 6-6 in those first 12 games, go ahead and do their record right now. The Lakers would have 40 wins, right? 40 wins, and you take back 6 losses. So that would be 40 wins, and 29 losses. Where would that put the Lakers today? That would put the Lakers in the 2 seed right now. 2 seed or 3 seed right now in the Western Conference. And if you go back and look at all the close games the Lakers have had this season, and which is like 20, 30 of them, if you say give the Lakers back 80% of those, the Lakers have the best record in the NBA. So the Lakers were never that far off of being a really great team. They just had to get the right players. And that's kudos to LeBron James and Anthony Davis on those two guys holding it down for the Lakers this long in the season, but we're not seeing the fruits of the labor until now because you have the right players around these guys. And the core guys that got to stick around have been absolutely amazing. Austin Reeves, Troy Brown Jr., Dennis Schroeder, all have been great off the bench. Those 3 guys right there have been averaging almost 40-plus points off the bench nightly. So this is just fun. It's fun. And that's where what the Lakers wanted to be. They wanted to be fun. So that's where we're at right now. The Lakers are in the 10 hole still, but that's okay. Actually, I think they're in the 9-10 hole, but that's okay because the Lakers are on the up and up. They're not on the downslide like teams like the Mavericks right now. So the Lakers are in good shape right now. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that is the state of the Lakers, and we move forward from there. Let's go ahead and jump into our NBA Wednesday night. Up first, we got the Cavs and the 76ers. This game is going to be in Cleveland tonight. This is going to be the final game of the season between these two teams. And pretty much what we're looking for is who's going to win the season series this year. The Cavs won the first game, and the Sixers won the second game. So tonight they try to break the tie. You got a 6-1 Philly team coming into this month. Also, you have a Cavs team that's 5-2 this month. So you have 2 teams that they're really balling right now, especially Philadelphia with the 5 wins in a row that they have. And I know that Embiid wants to keep adding on to his MVP performance. And when you look at the playoff race that's going right now, these 2 teams match up very, 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 very well because, both teams are chasing this 3rd spot right now. Really, Philly's chasing the second spot because Boston's kind of falling apart. So Philly's been really good, as I said. They've won their last 6 out of 7, including 5 in a row. So they're 45-22. You got Cleveland 44-27. So the Cavs find themselves 3 games behind. The Cavs find themselves 7 games behind the leader right now, and then 3 games behind Philadelphia. So pretty much Philadelphia is in the driver's seat to put themselves in position to actually take over the 2 seed. They're only a game back from Boston, but Boston does have the upper hand in this as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I like the Cavaliers tonight with the plus 125 as my small dog of the day. And shout out to the Knicks. The Knicks are the 5th seed right now, 41-30 on the season, and they are looking to keep things going in the right direction as well too. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about our next game. That's going to be the Grizzlies and the Heat. Grizzlies and the Heat, and also breaking news: Ja Morant will be suspended for the next 8 games. So literally, what they're doing is suspending him for the month of March, and then he'll be back. He'll be back in at the start of April. So I'm looking at it right now. They got a game tonight, and then San Antonio. Then they got 4 games at home. That would be 6, and then he would get back during the Clipper game. That's what they're anticipating, that they'll bring him back during the second half. It looks like his return will be on March 31st against the Clippers. So Ja Morant is out for the next 8 games, and so it would total up to about 12 games. So it would really total up to pretty much the whole month. So he only played 2 games this month, or 3 games, whatever. But at the end of the day, his team is still 3-0 without him. So that's something that they have working in their favor, and they're 4-3 this month. Now you have Miami, who's holding on for dear life somewhat, even though they are in the lead in the Southeast. They're trying to get to that 6th spot. You don't want to be a division champion and have to be in a play-in situation. So they are 4-4 for this month, and they've played a number of back-to-backs as well too. So they're trying to keep things going in the right direction. And I think when it comes down to this game, what we really do here is we go ahead and we scoreboard watch in this spot. But you can also say to yourself, you got a Heat team that's coming in here winning 3 in a row. And then you have this Grizzlies team that's coming in here winning 3 in a row. I'm sorry. The Miami did not win 3 in a row, but they've won their last 2 out of 3. And after starting the month on 2, they've actually won their last 4 out of 6. So pretty much, I think that they're playing really good at home right now, and I think we have to take advantage of how well they play at home against these Western Conference teams. So I like Miami tonight with the -4 to actually take care of their business, because I feel like they're going to be an overbet tonight, the Grizzlies. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we go from there. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our next spot, which is going to be the Jazz and the Bulls. This game is going to be in Chicago tonight. So you have a Kings team. I mean, the Kings and the Bulls. Did I say the Jazz? I'm sorry. But the Kings are 40-27 coming into this game. You have the Bulls 31-36. The Bulls are on the outside looking in right now of the play-in, and they are only so far out right now. They're actually tied with Washington. So a win tonight will possibly put them in position to be the 10th seed. So they're fighting. They're scraping right now. But they are having somewhat of a moody month, but they have won their last 2 in a row, but they're only 3-2. So pretty much they got Sacramento coming up tonight. Then they have Minnesota Friday night, and then they have a game Saturday night against Miami, which is very important. So these next 3 games at home are probably going to be very key to how they finish up this season. So, pretty much when you look at the way that they come into this game, they're in desperation mode. Sacramento has to keep the Wolves off of them. They got Wolves on their back right now. Let's keep it real, because they are only 4 games ahead of Phoenix, and they're only 5 games ahead of the Clippers and the Golden State, and they're only 7 games ahead of the Lakers. Now, with only 12 games left to go, the Lakers are probably out of this thing. But the other 3, they're fresh in this thing, because Sacramento is a 5-game losing streak away from falling all the way out of the playoff portion of it and being a play-in team. So they have to really, make sure that they grit down. But this team has played really great basketball over the last 10 games. They're actually won 8 of those. They're actually 8-2. So that's something that they have a lot of confidence coming into this game. And then they had a little dust up the other night, so that kind of tells you that they've arrived in the NBA somewhat. So Sacramento is going to be in it tonight, and you're going to have a really good spot here. But I feel like we get the under here, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Kings and Bulls, this should be a good one from the United Center in the Windy City of Chicago. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into another East-West matchup that's going to be between the Celtics and the Wolves. We got a Celtics team coming in here 47-22. You have a Wolves team 35-34. The Wolves are sitting at the 7th seed right now, while you have the Celtics sitting at the 2 seed right now. The Celtics have struggled this month as well, too. They're 3-4, and they actually had a 3-game losing streak, and then they came back around and won 2 in a row and just lost recently to Houston by 2. So there's a bad taste in their mouth, and they're going to really want to go ahead and right that wrong tonight. But they're not worried about overdoing anything. I think that they know that they need to just, take their time, because there's plenty of month left to go, and you don't want to rush anything. But you got a Minnesota team that's playing much better basketball right now. They've won their last 4 out of 6 games as well. They're 3-2 this month. And, playing Boston right now is something that is very significant for them. And we all know that they did go there and beat them. So pretty much they're looking to sweep Boston for the season. And I think that what happens here is that you have Boston coming into this game with the idea that they can't slip up like they did the other night. That was a really embarrassing loss to Houston. So you don't want to have back-to-back embarrassing losses. So I do feel like they'll step it up in this game, but I feel like we're going to get the over here, because it seems like Boston, every time they play against one of these really good top-tier Western Conference teams, that they always figure out a way to have these crazy games with them as well, too. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But I got this one going over 233.5. And I just say that because, it seems like when they have a game that goes well under, they have their next game goes well over. And this is a part of a 6-game road trip for the Celtics as well, too. They play against Minnesota tonight. Then they got Portland Friday. Then they have Utah on Saturday night. And then they finish up this thing with Sacramento on Tuesday night. So they have 4 more road games to go. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And hopefully, we have ourselves a really great game here that winds up going over. So let's go ahead and get to our final game of the group, and that's going to be the Clippers and the Warriors. And I want to go ahead and send a shout out to Betting with Lil Leslie. Me and her are collabing on this play tonight, and we're going to take the Clippers tonight. So I like the Clippers tonight with the -145. She has the Clippers tonight too. I think her number is probably -140, but yeah, you guys go ahead and check that out. And you guys go ahead and follow at Betting with Les as well too. She always has some great soccer plays for the people as well. So you guys give her a look-see, okay? But all in all, when it comes down to this one, the Warriors are just a terrible road team, so it's not hard to fade them on the road, because the Warriors are just burnt up money all year long. I don't even know why they're a 2.5-point dog. Like, literally, like, the only way you entice me with the Warriors is if you tell me tonight that they're a +6 going into crypto. I would have took them, but not tonight. Not tonight. I don't see anything well happening for the Warriors tonight. The Warriors are comfortable where they're at. The Clippers and Warriors are really yin and yang right now. So pretty much they're going to be attached at the hip literally the whole time, and quite possibly they could wind up being the 4 and 5, because it's like really like we kind of might need a Warriors Clippers series after what Steph said to Chris Paul last night. Like, this ain't 2014. So, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but it should be a great game in that spot tonight. So let's go ahead and get into talking tickets. I know it's your favorite subject. It's my favorite subject. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Up first, we have the CBB PrimeTime PK6, all NIT games for tonight. We got UCF money line +125. We also have +5.5 with Youngstown State tonight. We also have Sam Houston with the +165. We got Cincy with the -5.5. We got New Mexico with the -5.5. And then we end with UCI Irvine University of California, Irvine. So, let me tell you guys the quick difference between UCs and CSU schools. So a CSU school is just a step above community college, and the state pays for it, and they have housing that you can use at the schools. Usually, they're pretty overcrowded. So Northridge, who else? Northridge, Fullerton. Those schools are Cal States. So you have a lot of people that go there, and really they're more of commute people. But the UCs are like the creme de la creme schools. UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Irvine. Should I keep going on? UC Santa Barbara. All those are like the big bougie. Those are all the big campus schools. So that's the difference between a UC and a Cal State. So I'm just letting you guys know. One's ran by the state, and the other one is ran by the state, but they have more donors at the school, and their schools are highly accredited as well too. So I just wanted to let you guys know what the difference is between those. But yeah, it's a 78-1 ticket as well too. All right, so let's go ahead, and we have the Cavs dog bet tonight, plus 125 with the Cavs tonight, money line. We also have the Heat with the -4 tonight. Then we have the Kings and Bulls tonight with the under 236. Then we go over 233.5 with the Celtics and the Wolves. And then we finish up with the Clippers at the -145. That's going to give us a 25-1 ticket. So there it is. There it is. That's Talkin Tickets for you for today. And you know what? I'll be back to you guys tomorrow. We have some great things coming up. I do have this show coming up tomorrow, and then I also have the show with Mike Abadir as well too tomorrow. I can't wait to get into that, because we're probably going to be talking Jimmy G, Waller being traded to the Giants from the Raiders, all that good stuff. So you guys make sure to tune into Radio America for that tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time. But tomorrow I have this show ready for you guys at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure that you tune in, retweet, share, whatever you have to do. Okay. So with that, I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in today. You guys are the absolute best. And as I always say, there is no me without you. And bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.